How's it going, Jack Attackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 11 seasons of The Walking Dead from the worst to the best. Now that the series has finally ended, this is the quote-unquote definitive ranking of mine, at least. Obviously, this isn't the right list, this is just my list, as Sean Chandler would put it. Anyway, yeah, this is going to be controversial to some people. Maybe, I don't know, kind of. We'll see. I guess let me hear your thoughts on this list down in the comments below once you find out where I ranked what. But before we actually get into the list, I do want to mention I don't actually think there's like a truly really bad season of the show. There are weak seasons of the show, however, but I think every season has at least a few good moments. Yeah, I think that's how I want to put it. So with that being said, let's just get into my least favorite season of The Walking Dead, and that is...
Bruh. 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 Bruh.
Okay, admittedly, this was a super difficult decision. I had no idea where to rank these bottom two seasons, and when we get to my number 10 spot, we'll talk about this a little bit more. But for the time being, Season 10 is personally my least favorite season of The Walking Dead. Funny thing is, it's not even that bad. However, those bonus episodes really hurt the season. Well, apart from the Here's Negan episode, because that episode's fantastic and is easily the best one of the season. But it's time to get real. The bonus episodes were not good. I mean, especially episodes 20 and 21. They are quite literally the worst episodes in the entire series, and that is truly saying something. Now, I know some people think the bonus episodes shouldn't really be judged in the same way as the original 16 episodes from this season, but I think that's just some BS. They are still attached to Season 10. I don't care. They aren't their own little thing. They are from this season. I think it's completely valid to include these episodes when discussing my problems with this installment of the show. However, are these bonus episodes the only thing I dislike about Season 10? Well, they definitely play a big role, but I think the absence of Rick is super noticeable in this season. Of course, he's gone in Season 11 too, well, mostly. But him not being in this season really starts to feel weird. Maybe I adjusted to it more in Season 11, and this was kind of the transition stage for me, but who's to say? Also, I missed Maggie this season. She doesn't show up until the very end, and her presence is definitely needed, I feel like. I also am aware she was gone for most of Season 9, but for some reason her not being here in this season is a lot stranger, probably because she was focused on a bit more in those first 5 episodes of Season 9. All in all, though, something about this season of the show just feels empty, and that's my main issue with it, other than the horrible bonus episodes. The Whisperers have also outstayed their welcome, maybe, or at least they're not as interesting anymore compared to their Season 9 introductions. That's more of a smaller complaint I have with this season, but it's something worth bringing up. I still liked what they did with the Whisperers to a degree, but it just felt like the fun times were over, and we were having All Out War Part 2 with the Whisperers. I don't know. Anyway, with all that being said, I suppose we should just get into my next spots, and we'll discuss a little more why that season is better than Season 10.
He looked like a depressed and aging Super Mario.
Mamma mia, Luigi was eaten by a walker. Please kill me.
Well, Rick shows up in the finale. It's as simple as that. That's why Season 11's better than Season 10. Moving on to my number 9 spot. Okay, jokes aside, this was tricky. I ultimately decided to put Season 11 above Season 10 because it has a bit more going for it in my eyes. Of course, I might just be having a case of recency bias, but the fact this was the final season and actually felt like it makes me feel the need to put it one above last place. For one, Lance is one of the best antagonists in the entire show, and I kinda like him more than Alpha or Beta, but that's just me. Maggie is back this season and she's great. The Commonwealth was cool to see on screen finally. Bear McCreary's score is immaculate this season, and I feel like this is genuinely some of his best work. The series finale blew me away a little bit, and maybe that's a contributing factor as to why I think this season is better than 10. So, with all that being said, why is this season not ranked even higher? Well, it's because the first 8 episodes were not extremely strong. The Reapers are quite literally the worst villains the show has ever had, which is weird if you think about it. Season 11 has the worst villains and simultaneously one of the best villains. How's that possible? But yeah, the Reapers absolutely suck. It's definitely apparent they stretched this season out a little too long. If this season only had 16 episodes, it would have benefited tremendously. There's honestly a really good season buried deep inside here, but unfortunately there's a decent amount of filler that bogs down the season. Plus, it's no surprise at this point that, for me at least, the magic the show once had feels gone. I feel this way about Season 10 too, and that is ultimately why the no Rick seasons of the show are ranked at the bottom. It just is what it is. I tried to fight it, but I feel like I would be lying to myself if I had ranked these seasons any higher. I'm sorry, but with the 2 no Rick seasons out of the way, I guess now we can actually get in to my number 9 spot. Alright, time for the season I'm sure most of you were expecting me to rank at the very bottom. Season 8. Listen, this season is incredibly weak. Don't get me wrong. However, it has Rick. Okay, obviously that's not the only reason it's ranked this high. You know, I still enjoy quite a few things about this season. I think episode 4, Some Guy, is a great episode for Ezekiel's character, and obviously Shiva's death is just absolutely heartbreaking. Kari Payton's performance in that episode is so damn good. I also think that overall this season is super important for Rick. I don't see many people bring this up when they talk about the 8th season, but I really do feel like Rick's mental state is examined thoroughly. This season is actually the last time we see him kill someone on screen, and the last time we see him wear his murder jacket. After he kills the Savior in episode 14, Still Gotta Mean Something, he stands back up and has this look of confusion and sadness, almost as if he doesn't even know what he's doing anymore. I also like the scene in which after he kills Gracie's dad, he looks at himself in the mirror, and you can just tell he feels evil. It's pretty good stuff, man. But this season still smells like Dookie overall. Carl's death and the pacing has been talked about a lot at this point, but I'm here to tell you, it's extremely valid criticism. Killing off Carl is definitely the biggest mistake the show has ever made, and Gimple deserves to rot in hell. Wait, no, sorry. Anyways, the pacing is also pretty awful. The war should definitely not have lasted a full 16 episodes. You know, I really wonder what it would be like if the storyline was just cut in half and All Out War ended with episode 8. That would have been nice. I don't know, this season is just more disappointing than anything, to be honest. I was so hyped to see the All Out War story arc from the comics be translated to screen, and it just didn't work out so well, unfortunately. Again, this season had some solid moments, but at the end of the day, this will always be deemed as one of the weaker seasons in my eyes. So, with that being said, let's move on to my number 8 spot. Alright, another somewhat weak season. Although this season might have more pros than cons overall. There are some absolutely fantastic episodes in this season. Quite a few memorable moments take place throughout, and that's important to note. Although, similar to Season 8, the main negatives I have with this season is the fact that the pacing is abysmal. You know, obviously the premiere is amazing, to a degree, but episodes 2 and 3 come along and really slow things down. Episode 4 is good, episode 5 is mid, episode 6 is awful, and then things pick back up in episodes 7 and 8. Episodes 9 and 10 are okay, I guess. 11 and 12 are not great, 13's solid, 14's awful. Things pick back up yet again in episodes 15 and 16. Are you noticing a pattern at all? Well, yeah, that's because there kind of is one. It's the 1, 8, 9, 16 formula. Kuroto's Mystery Shack talks a lot about this in his retrospective series, but basically the gist of the concept is that in episodes 1, 8, 9, and 16, big moments happen, and then all the stuff in between is pretty mid. Yup, season 7 is extremely guilty of this trope, and that's why it is ranked here. It truly could have been a much better season if the pacing was tightened up. Also, I think we just see too much of our characters suffering in this season. I understand that we need to see them feel Negan's fury and whatnot, but it might be too much. And hell, who knows, maybe doing the double death thing in the premiere was even too much. I remember at the time not really caring about both Abraham and Glenn dying, but looking back, yeah, it just feels like too much. And this is coming from the guy who absolutely loves character deaths and feels like they are 100% needed in drama storytelling. Although the argument that Glenn was simply too likable to be killed is relatively compelling the more I think about it. Stephen Yeun's performance really made the character of Glenn way better than his comic book counterpart, and seeing him go, just yikes. Say what you want, but the killing of Glenn definitely contributed to the show's downfall over time. It wasn't necessarily the final strike, but it was a strike nonetheless. But yeah, that's season 7 for you. Honestly, not horrible by any means, but not nearly as good as the show can be. Let's move on to my number 7 spot.
Oh my God!
Angela Kang's best season, without a doubt. Perhaps the reason I feel this way is because Rick was the main focus of the first 5 episodes, and his absence wasn't really noticeable in the remainder of the season, but I also kind of feel like overall, this season is just genuinely solid. It's not perfect, but it is a decent installment that really gave new life to the show following the season 7 and 8 slump. The premiere's titled A New Beginning, and I couldn't agree more. Even if this quote-unquote new beginning only lasted for this one season, because, yeah, as we've discussed, seasons 10 and 11 weren't too superb. Anyways, this season just does a great job at distracting you from the fact Rick has left the show. For example, Angela Kang throws in so many new elements immediately after he leaves, such as the 6-year time jump, the death of Jesus, and the introduction of the Whisperers, and the incredible heads-on Pike scene that follows. Of course, to top it all off, the finale ends with snow. It's pretty awesome, man. Looking back, though, and realizing that this new golden era of the show doesn't last that long is disappointing, and ultimately makes me feel like this is as high as Season 9 should be placed on the list. Plus, Stradivarius sucks. Okay, moving on. Alright, we made it to the big leagues, boys. All this season's remaining are kind of masterpieces in my eyes. Kinda. Or at the very least, what I'm trying to say is that these top 6 are super special and define the show for me. So, let's get into number 6 then.
Oh, no.
For some reason, this is my least favorite season out of the original 6. I think this is largely due to the fact that the Governor storyline gives me major blue balls, and it doesn't really go anywhere until season 4. The finale is seemingly built up as this big event, and it just really wasn't. The real Governor attack is held off on, I guess. Also, I don't really like what they did with Andrea's character in this season, but who does? Yeah, I guess that's kinda all my complaints with this season. I mean, what can I say? This season is still amazing. This is peak Walking Dead. I love the prison, I love the Governor, I love the excitement Glenn Mazzara brought to the show, even if it came back to bite him in the ass by the end of the season, and there are just a lot of great moments in this installment. Episodes like Killer Within, Made to Suffer, Clear, This Sorrowful Life, are classics. I just wish this season had a better conclusion, and I suppose that might seem like a nitpick to some people. Well, for me, it really does weigh down on this season, and just completely ruins the momentum the story had. Overall, a special season though, and one I am quite fond of. So, let's move on to number 5. Ah, yes, the OG, the season that started it all. Season 1 is a tight season. With only 6 episodes, it really tells a lot of story and instantly gets you hooked. Not all pilot seasons are capable of this. I know some people like to clown on the Vatos episode or the CDC storyline, but I kind of think they're fine. Admittedly, the first 3 episodes of the season are better than the last 3, but I don't entirely care that much. This is simply put a classic season. It has iconic imagery, great character introductions, emotional moments, and fun survival horror elements. It is what a TV show of this stature should be like. It's just a hell of a ride. However, the seasons above this managed to somehow be better than it. Yup. Prepare yourselves. Let's get into number 4. I love Season 2. I don't care, this season is a masterclass for character development. Shane is a godly character and is one of the best written characters the show has ever seen. He's a phenomenal antagonist, and pretty much any scene with him in it is amazing. And look, I know this season has some weak episodes like Bloodletting and Secrets, but I can't even really say I hate some of the weaker episodes in the first half. Plus, the second half more or less makes up for it. We have episodes like Pretty Much Dead Already, 18 Miles Out, Better Angels, and Beside the Dying Fire. These are some magnificent episodes. I love the farm, I love meeting Herschel, Maggie, and Beth, I love Shane and Dale staring at each other. I love a lot of this season, even if some would claim it can get boring at times. I just can't really care. Granted, this is still not my favorite season of the show. Not even in my top 3. So, prepare yourselves even more. Let's get into number 3. Oh boy, things are getting serious. Season 4 rocks. It has a lot of bottle episodes due to the fact Scott Gimple jumped aboard as showrunner, but some of the bottle episodes this season really worked for me. Dead Weight, After, and The Grove in particular. This is another great season for character development, and not only that, we have terrific episodes throughout. I mean, obviously I have to mention Too Far Gone. It's one of the best episodes in the entire show. It still probably manages to be in my top 5, to be honest. I adore what they did with the governor this season, and it almost makes up for the lackluster season 3 finale. Almost. Well, yeah, okay, fine, it does, but the season 3 finale's still mid, alright? Anyways, the back half of this season's incredible too. I think I might have used to think some parts of it were boring, but looking back, I kinda love all of it nearly. Maybe I'm just wearing rose-tinted glasses, but even episodes like Still fill me up with nostalgia. Okay, yeah, I definitely have rose-tinted glasses on, sue me. I don't care though, season 4 goes hard, man. I mean, what other season do you see Rick bite a guy's throat out, huh? Wait, you're telling me this isn't my number 1 favorite season? Well, let's get into the final 2, I guess.
Some bitches on the roof. Hold on.
Believe it or not, this used to be my number 1. I can't exactly answer why it got bumped down to number 2, but I guess once we get to the actual number 1, we'll discuss it a bit more, because ultimately these last 2 spots were hard to decide which one was better. Anyways, season 6 is still magnificent. So much comic book story was adapted into this season, and I think that keeps the season interesting throughout. The Glenn fake-out death is stupid, but I can look past it. The Negan cliffhanger death is also incredibly dumb, but I can look past it too. Kinda. Or, who knows, maybe those 2 things contributed to season 6 being placed at number 2 instead of 1. Hard to say. However, with episodes like JSS, No Way Out, and Not Tomorrow Yet, it's no surprise that Season 6 is still ranked this high, and especially No Way Out, because that is also widely regarded as one of the best episodes of the show, and I completely agree. It is an action-packed episode and incredibly memorable, especially with Carl losing his eye, and it is such an intense watch. The Saviors being introduced more and more in the back half is also very exciting stuff. Negan's first appearance is super awesome and goes down as one of the best character introductions of all time. There is a lot to love about Season 6, and it is still near and dear to my heart. But I don't think I like it as much as... The apple of my eye, my beloved, For context, this was the first season I started watching live. I binged the first 4 seasons and was finally able to experience this season with everyone else. I mean, season 5 was when The Walking Dead was truly at its peak. You were legitimately weird if you didn't watch the show back in 2014. The season 5 premiere had like 17 million viewers or something crazy like that. Game of Thrones had that type of live viewership. I remember being in middle school talking about the show with my friends that I no longer have because I am reclusive and weird now, but it was so much fun just hearing everyone's thoughts on the new episode. Who remembers Trev's Chan 2? Or Ronnie Hayes over at Make a Path Presents? They fell off, man. They fell off because the show fell off. Sorry. The Walking Dead was the biggest show in the world at this time. And, yeah, I guess I'm wearing rose-tinted glasses again. I simply don't care, though. Admittedly, I have a bunch of nostalgia for this season, obviously, and maybe that's why I ranked it at number 1. I know when people go to criticize this season, they talk about the Beth Hospital storyline, and, yeah, it's not a very strong arc. But I also don't care. I can overlook it because, simply put, the rest of the season is a masterpiece. No Sanctuary, Strangers, 4 Walls and a Roof, The Distance, Remember, Spend, Try, Conquer. They're all so damn good. We get to see the return of Morgan, for Christ's sake, even though his character ends up being ruined in Fear the Walking Dead, but that's besides the point. This season's just incredibly special, man. It means so much to me, and I will always love it. It just feels right putting it at number 1. But, yeah, that's the ranking. Of course, let me hear your ranking down in the comments below. What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Let me hear all of it. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. We're doing a James Cameron ranking next. What?